Okay, thank you for coming back. Okay, so we're gonna get into some skills now, the CPR, and like we said earlier, one of the main things we want to emphasize is hand placement. Okay, so let's make sure we get our hands in the proper place right above the heart. Okay, now, let me take this. Now, if it's your first time, you know, I always look at it like, you know, giving you driver lessons. Right?
New York CPR.
We want you to, are you right-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Right-handed, okay. So
we'll find the ambidextrous, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if you're right-handed, we want you to put the head on the left side. Okay. And then what we want you to do is just, you know, you see this part of your hand right here? Okay, we want you to put this in the center of the chest with your ring finger covering up a nipple, just like that. Good. Okay, now pull the mannequin as close to you as possible. Now look, typically we're going to be doing this on the ground, okay? We in our other office, by the way, we have a Long Beach office as well. We do this on our knees, on the carpet, but for right now we're just going to show you on the table. But it's a lot easier on the ground as well, putting your body weight on. Okay, so now put your other hand over it, and what we want you to do is lean forward to where you make a straight line with your shoulders and your hands, and push down and just count out loud. Well, you know what? Just get comfortable with doing compressions right now. Okay, ready? Let's go. Good. Now you should get 2 green lights if you're doing it correctly, hard enough, and fast enough. So speed up a little bit. Good. There you go.
Okay, so into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go. There you go. Good. You got it. You got it.
So you do 30 of them, right?
Right. So we always use a little beat, you know, put some soul into it, right? This is black CPR, right? So let's turn it up. Okay, we want to do 30 count out loud, okay? Put our hands to the chest, pull it as close to you as possible. Ready? And let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 9, 30. Okay? You got it. Pick it up very fast. Let me have you move to the edge a little bit because that table is kind of heavy. Yeah, because you know we've been pushing on the center so long. Yeah. Okay, one more time, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, okay? Excellent. Alright. So all you're gonna do is, you know, you want to keep doing that all the way until the ambulance arrives. It can be tiring, it can hurt your wrist, you know, a lot of things.
You can always switch out though.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you push it hard and fast enough to get that oxygenated blood to the brain, and that's all that matters. Now, one thing I do want you to keep in mind is, now we're going to get to the breaths. I'm sorry, that's what we're going to talk about. So the breaths, of course, COVID, we're not putting mouth to mouth, like. So we want to get something like a mouth-to-barrier device. This is the one that we have here, okay? But for the most part, we're going to find that in our first aid kit, okay? So we always want to get a first aid kit. You know, we actually have these for sale if you want to purchase one of these. You can probably click the link in the all right, so in the description, right? So if you need a first aid kit, let us know. But yeah, we have a mouth-to-barrier device now. The typical one that we see in the first aid kit is this one. It's kind of like a mouth-to-barrier shield that you put in the mouth and you have to pinch the nose, okay? Now you can have this version or you can have this version. Now this version, it covers the nose up so that you don't have to pinch the nose, okay? So keep in mind, if you use this kind that's normally found in the first aid kit, you have to pinch the nose. With this, you don't, but you have to make a seal, right? You have to press down hard enough to make a seal, and then what you're gonna do is a head tilt chin lift, okay? This is the very important part. If you don't lift the airway, the oxygen will not go to the lungs like it should be. So what you wanna do, head tilt chin lift, blow. Watch out the corner of your eye for the chest rise, okay? And then blow again. All right, and then we're gonna get back into the compressions, okay? Now, if you don't have this mask and you just have this, then what we want you to do is just do head tilt chin lift, pinch the nose, and then blow. Watch your chest rise, blow again. Watch your chest rise, and hands back in the center of the chest.
Okay,
now
so
you can kind of demonstrate, just pretend.
So when you don't have the actual face mask for it, do the one with the plastic and pop the plastic part in the mouth.
Right.
This, nose, 2 breaths, and then go back to compression.
Exactly. Absolutely. Okay. 30 and 2, 30 and 2. So let's do a demonstration real quick. 2 hands in the center chest. Make sure you always get to that proper hand placement. Then we put 2 hands on the head, 1 on the forehead, pinching the nose, and then tilting the chin up. Pretend this go 1. Watch your chest rise. 2. Watch your chest rise, and then hands back in the center of the chest, okay? Let's do that one more time. Head tilt, chin lift, 1 and 2. Back in the center. Okay, excellent. Okay, so now we're gonna put it all together, okay? Any questions before we get into it? Okay. So we're gonna do 5 sets, all right? 5 sets is equivalent to 2 minutes of CPR, okay? And that's what we do before switching to the next person, okay? Okay, so let's put our hands in the center of the chest. Lock your elbows out, lean forward. Remember, we're gonna put our weight on them, and we're gonna do 30 and 2. Now, we do the 30 and we do 2, and then we get right back into the CPR, okay?
Okay.
Ready? Stay with me. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Head tilt chin lift. 1, 2, right back. You're good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 17, 18, 29, 30. Head tilt chin lift. 1, 2, count loud. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Let's go. Okay, again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 2 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. Again. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Good job. Good job.
So, question, can't you break the ribs by doing that?
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's a cleaner break if you're in the proper hand placement. You don't need to be breaking it right here. You know, it'll crack, but at the same time, you know, it's better to be alive with some cracked ribs and dead and perfectly fine. Right? Is that right?
Makes sense.
Okay, good. Okay. So, you know, really quickly, what we're going to deal with now is just child. We're going to go over adult, child, and infant, not too long. But when we deal with the child, typically when we deal with children, we're going to be dealing with breathing emergencies, okay? So we're going to cover choking at this time. Okay, and we have a slide right here. This actually is a representation of the diaphragm muscles that are right under the rib cage that help your lungs to contract and relax to help you to breathe. Okay, we want to do the abdominal thrust, and we want to thrust on these muscles right here. Okay, we want to thrust in as hard as we can to get the food to come out of the mouth. Okay, now when you're dealing with children, it's always safety first, safety second, safety third, safety all the way to infinity, right? And when something happens, if it happens, hopefully it doesn't, but when something happens, this aid that we give to prevent from having to do CPR is called first aid, okay? So if they have an asthma attack and we give them an inhaler, well, give them an inhaler, that's first aid. Because if we didn't get the inhaler, then they can need CPR if their brain shuts off because they can't breathe. It's the same thing with choking. It's the same thing with, allergic reactions, right? Your tongue and throat area can swell up from peanut allergy or shellfish, right? It's the same thing with bleeding, right? If we stop the bleeding, with like a tourniquet or maybe even a bandage, gauze and do pressure, that blood, as we learned in the other portion of the class, was transporting the oxygen to the brain. So it will make sense for us to keep it in the body, right? Well, that's first aid, because if that blood ran all the way out, then it couldn't transport oxygen to the brain. Matter of fact, when the level got critically low, the person will go into what's called shock, okay? So the aid given to prevent us from needing to do CPR is called first aid, okay? And if we do proper first aid, we don't even have to do the CPR. We don't want to have to, okay? It's a long list of things. We're going to give you an app where you just click on the different things of what to do in the various situations, so you don't have to feel like you have to memorize everything, okay? It's a long list of things. But keep in mind one thing. There's a difference between life or death first aid and just first aid for an ankle sprain, right? Ankle sprain isn't going to probably kill you, right? Whereas choking will, right? You can have an ear infection, you could have maybe a congestion. Now, you still have to give aid, a little Band-Aid, a little cut. You still have to give aid for these situations, but, you want to be able to determine very quickly the life or death first aid and to be able to administer that immediately rather than the not so serious first aid. You still want to give it, but understand, we have to temper our panic. Sometimes we don't need to be panic and freaking out over every little thing. Some things are worth freaking out over if they're that serious, but we still have to control it. Don't want to be freaking out, panic. Okay, so let's deal with this choking. Okay, really quick, could you stand up real quick? And stand up if you're watching the video at home. And what we want to do is just make a fist with your thumb on the inside, put it slightly above your navel, right here. And then we want to pull in and thrust up, right in this area, right here. You feel that? Right there, okay? That's these muscles we're feeling, okay? That's what we want to get to. We want to thrust on those and pull all the way up. And what's in the airway will hopefully be thrown up out of the mouth, okay? Now, let's just pick the mannequin up real quick. Okay, now you can try this on one of your family members at home if you like, or your children, right? And hopefully you want to work that out before the real situation happens. But remember, anytime they're eating something, that's always a high risk moment. So one of the things that how you know they're severely choking is that they cannot make any sound. Okay. So the first thing we want to ask them is, are you choking? Say that.
Are you choking?
Okay. So if they're choking and they can't make any sound, they can't respond, that could mean they're severely choking. Sometimes they'll be doing the universal choking sign. Maybe they can be turning blue, their eyes bulging, right? This is a sign they're really choking, okay? I always say 3 strikes, you're out, because you never know how long it took for them to find you, to get the help they need, or when you recognized it, based upon how long they can hold their breath, ultimately. And when you're panicking, that time gets cut in half, okay? So we want to turn them around. If they give you consent, they have to give you consent for adult. Child, they don't have to give you consent. So you have to say, can I help you? Can I help you? Say that.
Can I help you? Can I help you?
Okay, good. So what you want to do is spread their legs, put one leg in between their legs, bend your knees, right? Now, this is just going to be a representation of what you would do in a real situation. You want to find your navel, roll up like that, put your other hand around, and you want to just come in, twist up. Come in, twist up, come in, twist up. As hard as you possibly can, okay? Good.
So basically underneath all the ribs and all that stuff.
Right underneath the ribs. And get in there, okay? Now, a lot of, people ask the question, what about pregnant women, okay? So if there's a baby right here, we want to compress on above the baby, okay? What about if you're by yourself? If you're by yourself, you want to find a chair or something that's waist level that you can thrust yourself on. Maybe like one of those chairs back there. Something that is not with wheels on it. Something that you can thrust yourself at the waist level to the same area to get something to throw out the airway, okay? And I always get this question, if they're too big, what are you going to do? What if my arms can't reach around them? Well, if you can raise your arms up higher than, just their abdomen, if that's too big, then you want to try that. But if not, you may have to lay them on the ground and thrust in that same area just with your hands. Kind of like what you were doing earlier. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so lay them down. We're dealing with the child CPR right now. Okay, so child CPR. Remember, we're just going to do one hand. Okay, one hand in the same place where we used to put for adult, and then we're going to reinforce that hand just like this. Now, this is the one modification we're going to make for child. With child CPR, we do a finger sweep after the choking. Okay, not with child, with choking in general. We're just going to do it right now with child. Because they could have been choking on some food, we want to do a finger sweep to get the food out, and then continue CPR, okay? So let's put one hand in the center of the chest just like this. Ready, and let's go. 30 and 2. 1.
Oh, they get 30 as well.
Still 30 and 2, yes,
Okay.
still 30 and 2. Ready, and let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Open the airway, do the finger sweep, get the food out.
One finger.
Right.
Okay.
You're going to put your finger around the jawbone, scoop the food out. If you see it, pinch the nose and give 1. Watch your chest rise. 2. Watch your chest rise. And continue. Ready, and let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Head to chin lift. 1 and 2. If you see more food, scoop it out. If you don't, just continue with CPR all until either they come alive or the ambulance arrives. Okay? Good job, good job, good job. Okay, so now we're going to move on to infant CPR.
That was a chin mouthful.
That is a pale baby.
Okay. So with infant CPR, a lot of everything is the same. It's still a human being, except for 2 fingers, okay? So we're going to take 2 fingers and put it in the center of the chest, and we're going to reinforce our wrist now, and we're going to count to 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Okay, good. Now look, before we get into the breaths, I just want to tell you just one thing. Of course, they're babies, right? So they have baby lungs, okay? So we don't need to blow so hard. So we want to do puffs. We don't blow hard. I heard you can pop lungs. So as soon as you see chest rise, that's enough, okay? Now, another thing, baby, is we want to cover the nose and mouth with our mouth. Now, the same thing applies whether you have a mouth-to-barrier device for a baby or not. So this is a mouth-to-barrier device. It covers the nose and mouth. You don't have to worry about that. But if you don't have one of these, then you'll have to cover the nose and mouth with your mouth. Okay, you understand? You don't pinch the nose and mouth.
You just cover it all.
You cover it all with your mouth. And you do 2 short puffs. So we're going to do a head tilt chin lift. And we'll go 1 and 2. Okay, and then we're going to continue. Ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 23, 24, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Once again, head tilt chin lift. 1 and 2. Good. Okay. All right. So that was infant. When we get into the infant choking, okay, we want to have a seat